about marriage, and not just marriage, but there are ladies who are matured for marriage, who are ripe for marriage, who are, in fact, they are in need of husband, they are better half, and they are suitors, so to say. But the challenge is coming from their parent, and that is why I want to make this video for parents out there to listen and see where and how to adjust. A lady has found a young man who wants to marry her, and the parent, as I speak, the parent are the challenge that she has. You have a daughter who has gotten a young man that wants to marry her, and you go about giving exorbitant list, cowl, gold, mention them. This young man do not have enough, but he is in love with your daughter. He actually wants to marry your daughter, but you have placed or laid this price tag on your daughter. He has collected the list, but he can't afford it. He just can't afford it. Bet me, believe me, he can afford to feed your daughter. He can afford to clothe your daughter. He can afford to take care of your daughter. Even if children comes, he can pay the school fees. But to raise this about ₦1 million or more than ₦1 million or more than $500,000 to come and do all the ceremonies or traditions or whatever you have put as, processes that are capable of, encumbering processes that are already, factors militating against this young man's dream of getting married to your daughter. He goes back and begins to think. He goes back and this young man is already almost depressed because of the exorbitant list you have given to him. What happens? He cancels the wedding. He cancels the marriage. He can't afford it. Why are we like this in this part of the world? I actually think marriage should be a game of 50-50. Your daughter needs a man in her life, and the young man needs a lady, a woman in his life as his wife, as her husband. But you, the parent of the bride to be, the parent of the young lady, has come up with all this exorbitant list. What is happening? Then the next thing you see is what we call Abuja marriage or Lagos marriage, because the young man cannot afford it and the two of them are in love with each other. What happens? They meet behind you. And the next thing that happens is they begin to cohabit. And when they cohabit, they mate. And so I call it dating, cohabiting, and mating. They are dating, they are cohabiting, and they are mating. And so what happens? Pregnancy. Then when pregnancy sets in, who do you think will lose at that point? Who? The glory, the honor that should have been bestowed on you and your wife as the father of the bride, as the mother of the bride of the day, that glory has gone. That glory is gone. And then the next thing that comes to your family is shame. And then you see your daughter giving birth to 1, 2, 3, as the case may be, not married to that young man. Who is the cause? Why has that happened? Permit me to discuss the factors I see in African marriage. Are you a traditionalist? The answer is certainly no, because you are going to tell me you are a Christian. Of course, that is what you're going to say, that you're a Christian. And as a Christian, look at what you've come up with. You go home to carry out a traditional marriage. Of course, the man will say, my siblings will come, my friends will come, my brothers, my uncles, people will come. And so there has to be a traditional marriage. But I ask you, are you a traditionalist? You said you're a Christian, that the Lord has called you from among your people and that you have become a Christian, and then your daughter wants to marry, and you want your daughter, the young man, to marry your daughter, first of all, traditionally. You mention all the kola nut, you mention all the tubers of yam, you mention all the things that are demanded traditionally, that the young man has to fulfill all the traditional processes. Otherwise, you wouldn't be giving him your daughter. Is that right? Of course, I know you're going to tell me it is right. Fine. It is right. That's what you say. But at whose detriment? If the young man cannot afford it, he's going to go back. And when he goes back, what becomes the fate of your daughter? She has to continue to live with you, or she has to continue to live all alone. Come, have you taken time to ask your daughter one day how she's faring as a single lady? I don't know her age, but she need a man. She's matured. She need her own husband. But you constitute stumbling block. I've made it so cumbersome for the young man to get married to your daughter. The two of them love themselves. But look at what you're causing your daughter, so to say. I don't know. I have to come up with this video because the young men are not smiling. They are not smiling. We are pushing them to the world. We are pushing them to begin to think otherwise, which is wrong. I think we should have a rethink as parents. We should have a rethink. Look at, one has to spend almost $500,000 to carry out a traditional marriage, and after that $500,000, he has to go and plan again for church wedding. Oh, who has bewitched you, my brothers? Who has bewitched you? Africa, you have to spend so much. You have a cake for your traditional marriage, you rent all the canopies or get a very expensive hall for your traditional marriage. Almost all that has to be present, almost everything you need for your church marriage or church wedding, as you may call it, are all also present in the traditional marriage. And after the traditional marriage, with all the decorations and everything, you proceed for church marriage, for church wedding. And then you take it afresh again, making arrangement for the same cake you have made in your traditional marriage, the same canopy or hall, the same everything again. And you have to make another arrangement for your church wedding, for your church marriage. And people have to come. And you host them again with the same food, providing everything again. How many times will marriage has to be carried out in Africa and becomes a marriage? What are we doing to ourselves? What are we doing to ourselves? So you go behind to give this young man such exorbitant list that he has to pay, that he has to provide all that you have listed out. Do you know some of the clothes, some of the plates, some of the bags, some of the things you compel that young man to buy, at the end of the day, when they get married for more than a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, they will not use it. Of course, they won't use it. Look at the number of clothes you have compelled the young man to buy and sew for you. At the end of the day, you are coming to his house to get so fat, and after a year or 2, those clothes can no longer enter you. What do? You dash them out. Where my pain lies is the young men that cannot afford this are being pushed to the world. And what happens? They go for another concept, and that is what has given birth to Abuja marriage, Lagos marriage, city marriage that you hear about. At the end of the day, they decide to begin to live together as husband and wife, whereas they are not. Who has caused that? It is wrong. I am beseeching, I am pleading, I am appealing to you parents out there. Please, if a young man has come to your house to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage, endeavor to sit him down. My son, what do you have? This is how it should be done, but come, let us sit and discuss. You sit and discuss with the young man. Let it be agreed and be done in a way that he can be able to afford. If he has millions and millions to spend for people to come and eat and drink and make merry with them, no problem. No problem. You can even at that point still advise him. But that's not what I'm saying. My point is, all fingers are not equal. This young man that has come cannot afford what Mr. A has just afforded. So why should you hold his neck to make sure he do the same thing Mr. A did? It is not possible. It's not done. To reconsider what we are doing to the young men out there. We should reconsider our decisions, our stand about marriage. If we understand this, that the way we are taking it is at the detriment of the sisters. It's at the detriment. Madam, please, I want to tell you this. The same feelings you have each time you are with your husband, it is that same feeling your daughter is having now. You know why? She's matured. She's grown. She's adult now. The same feelings you have. That thought of you want to be with your husband, it is that same feeling your daughter is having now. She's grown. I am not talking about just sex here, but there is this comfort you have, there is this happiness you have inside of you. Each time you are with your husband, you're discussing, you're communicating, you feel so comfortable, so happy inside of you. Your daughter needs a man in her life as such. Why are you depriving her? She will bring Bro James, you will condemn Bro James. She will bring Bro Michael, you will condemn Bro Michael. She will bring another person, you will condemn the person. You are the one responsible for your daughter who is not married. Because you have always turned every man she brought home down. This one is not well educated. This one is not as rich as you expected him to be. This one's a family background is not what you think he should be. This one is not your tribe. He's from another tribe. What is your problem? You are in your husband's house for crying out loud. And you have kept this young lady there. Do you know what you're doing is at her detriment? Because you know this, but let me repeat it. Her flower period is going down gradually. You will continue to, now men are seeing how they are all falling in love for their whole life. They like her, they love her. It is because she's within this age range. The moment she crosses 35, you are not going to see this number of young men that are coming to ask for her hands in marriage. It gets to a point in a lady's life that for a whole year, no man might come to say, hi, I love you. Yes, even in the church, let her sweep the whole church. Let her supply all that the church needs. For a whole year, no man might come to say, hey, I like you, I love you, I want to marry you. What you'll be hearing is, auntie, she's good, oh, very kind, oh, very humble, oh, God-fearing. Yes, all that accolade, all that praises will be showered on her. But it will become very difficult for any young man at that time to come to say, sister, I want to walk you to the altar. It becomes very difficult that time. So, madam, please, you should have been the one to sit your daughter down and counsel her properly. But you are even the one turning the young men down. What are you doing? How rich was your husband when you got married to him? I ask you, madam. How rich was your husband when you got married to him? Was he a millionaire? Was he having money? You got married to him, and now that the Lord has blessed the two of you, you are using your current financial status and educational background to deprive other young men from getting married to your daughter. Now that the Lord has blessed you, you use your status as a yardstick of measure on every young man that comes to indicate interest of getting married to your daughter. It is bad. It pains me most when this thing is happening even in the house of God, among Christians. It pains me more. He goes to the church to look at the whole young men and say, you are their father, they are your sons, you are their spiritual father, you are an elder. But when they walk to your compound to get married to your daughter, you turn them down, you chase them away. Let me tell you, the young men are not smiling, and they are hearing what you're saying, and that has prevented them from coming to your house to ask for your daughters and in marriage. You're keeping her to yourself. Will you marry her? No is the answer. You can't marry her. You can't satisfy her either. There's no amount of material thing or finance you will give to your daughter as a man that will satisfy her. It's not possible. It takes another young man out there to satisfy her. Why are you caging your daughter? All in the name of, I want the best for you. Who are you to be able to get the best for another human being? Your daughter or your son or anybody, I don't care, but who are you to get the best for someone, especially when it has to do with the case of a marriage? Please, desist. Stop it. Stop what you're doing. Stop it. You are a Christian, for crying out loud. A day is coming when your daughter will become so hostile to you. She will no longer be happy because of what you're doing to her. She may not understand it now, but a time is coming when she will understand the implication of what you're doing today. Thank you very much. Until I come your way again, I remain Bro Michael Abba. Thank you.